Hello everyone, better late than never. My apologies for the late video, but basically the market is just really choppy right now. My focus continues to be intraday. However, my personal stock picker has been really off, and the break-even stop methodology that I like to employ intraday on small caps right now is just not working out. Names like Timber, they end up working, but still, it's really messy. LHDX after hours though, beautiful setup, breakout, nice, clean, easy run. The whole point of this is that we don't get moves higher on heavier volume, consolidations on lower volume, and nice, clean breakouts on an end of day basis right now. It's really hit and miss. I'd say for every winner that I have two, three, four losers. They're always small. Number one rule, always cut your losses. But the whole point is that it's really, really, really miss, less hit. I think of the last two video lessons, I have not presented a quote, quote, free trade idea over the weekend, and that's going to continue this week. I continue to get a ton, which is just crazy. Maybe I just don't remember getting so many before, but that's mainly because I now buy stocks that are underneath the 50 and 200-day simple moving averages, where before I wouldn't do that. But I'm getting a lot of grade B signals, but we continue to not get any of those grade A setups. There's definitely nothing out there that looks like LHDX did after hours on Friday. You know, when LAZR went red to green, and look at how clean this move is after going red to green. We're not getting that on an end of day basis when we break out above the high of the day of the previous day. We don't quite get these kind of clean moves. And then you saw BAER. This is when I was identifying it in the chat room for everyone to get long, and how nice that move was. Once again, we're not getting those 20, 30, 40% movers immediately on an end of day basis. Things continue to be very slow. So getting back to that point, there are things that I like to see to be aggressive in the indices. And if we just go on a macro level, some of the things that I need to see after a decline to be confident that we bottomed is a VIX over 40. And it's something that we haven't seen this entire downtrend. So I can't be confident that the October low is an actual low, even with all the recent bread thrusts, even with all the recent signals. As long as they keep trending up, as long as the SPY can find support at all of these key moving averages. Actually, let's change the tab to the leaders tab. Bring up SPY. That way you can then see how it's got all this confluence here at all these moving averages. If it can find support here, get going and curl higher, that is fantastic. I'm all for it. But in the short term, we are below the 50 SMA, and we're going to end this video looking at TOS because we have this indicator called the tickets indicator that a member, basically a moderator of mine, has created, and it's really good at keeping you on the right side of being bullish or bearish whenever there's weakness in price action. And right now on the daily time frame, we have the tickets indicator over 0, which I will show you while we're below the 50 SMA, but the hourly and the 15 is weak. The weekly is below the 0 line, so it's just not lined up. Also, if these are stoplights, remember guys, all I need is price and volume. I don't need any of this extra gobbledygook. But for me, at this point in my life, I know how to use it, so I use it. But the bottom line is, let's just keep things simple. Red means stop, green means go. We want to really see 3 green lights. We got 2 red, 1 green. Now, getting back to the VIX, things that I like to see to know for a fact that we've bottomed in October. That VIX over 40, didn't get it. Any kind of Fed pivot, pause, QE, we didn't get it. Okay, any kind of passive retail panic? No. Instead, they're buying stocks at a greater pace than they ever did in 2020 and earlier 2021. Mind-boggling. At first, we were calling for the end of the world here. Now they're buying more than they bought during this move right here. Wild, wild, wild stuff. But without any of this QE, VIX, retail panic, it's hard to say that, oh yeah, in the October lows, we're good to go, even though we've had all these pocket pivot point signals follow through days, and it's just really strong. The main thing is, where are my grade A setups? I can't miss them, guys. I have multiple scans. When I get a grade A setup, it's not going to just make 1 or 2 scans because of the volume, price, and balance of power, which is an indicator I use on Telechart version 7 Surge. They make multiple scans. It's impossible for me to miss them. I also know what I'm looking for on the cancelim side. WFRD is what you're looking for. We go into a squeeze, tight squeeze, we resolve out of it, we're triple green. But not only that, with what I look for personally on my end, we got a long signal here, we got a long signal here, we got a big long signal here, and there's the resolution, follow through. That's an excellent cancelim signal. I also happen to be long FIX. This is not a great signal, but very similar. We were at least 3 green lights squeezed to go, but we had earnings coming up. And that's the other thing. Why did VIX work, but MUR, even though it gave me a grade A setup, but of course the day before earnings, why did it not work? I don't know. Why did WFRD work and TTC not work? I mean, technically it's still just consolidating. I don't know. And that's the thing. It doesn't matter if it's sector, industry group, the chart setup, the earnings, the sales growth. I can find no real correlation to what works and doesn't work, which is why I'm still heavy cash, which is why I'm not going to have any new recommendations this weekend. I think the last 2 recommendations didn't work anyway, and then the one before that, I think it failed, then worked. But before that, every single one I gave to you guys on the weekend were working. Is it any coincidence that all of those stocks that were working that I was giving to you guys was all from this October to December period? Since then, once again, this last little up leg that I don't understand, just like this last little up leg back in August, I did not understand how we were still going. I just didn't really understand this. Now we've gotten these bad, high inflation numbers this past week. It all kind of makes more sense. But that being said, I'm still a buyer on pullbacks because there's no reason not to me. Higher lows here. We're above all of the key moving averages until we're back below the moving averages. And reality, back below these lows, there's no reason to be super bared up here. So now I just want to bring up my TOS charts. And what you'll see here, we have an hourly of the SPY. And as this indicator works, we call it the tickets indicator. When price is below the 50, if the tickets indicator is above 0, price should want to get back above the 50. So once you start to get the 50 above the 200, that's whenever I'm interested. And you can see here, SPY is below the 50. And yes, it's declining the 50, so it's not perfect, but still, the indicator is above 0. What happens? Reclaims the 50, goes. Then once again, we get lower here. But more importantly, once again, the 50 crosses the 200. Indices, or the SPY dips below the 50, but the tickets indicator is above 0. Good to go. Dips below the 50, tickets indicator is above 0. Good to go. There were some aggressive traders that took this dip. Technically, it's good to go. But now look at this dip. Notice how the tickets indicator is heading towards the 0 line. That's not good. Notice then we get below the 0. Tickets indicator is now below 0, or below the 50, I should say. Tickets indicator below 0. We continue to move lower. So that's on the hourly time frame. So right now we don't have any signals. But remember what I told you about the daily? On the daily, we're below the 50. So let's expand this. We're below the 50. The tickets indicator is above 0. We should be good to go, right? Well, first off, if you're even going to take this signal like it is, you want to wait till momentum at least curls. Remember, tickets indicator above 0 here. We're below 50. Momentum is going lower. We're not doing anything. As soon as momentum curls, you reclaim the 50, and it works. Because once you reclaim the 50, this is your final cut loss level. It never violated, and it's good to go. That being said, this is the daily. I want you guys to now take a look at the weekly, which is the most important one for me. If we go back just 3 years, you'll see when the SPY was uptrending on the weekly and the tickets indicator is above 0, that's when you want to be bullish. On the weekly time frame, we got above the 50, but the tickets indicator was below 0, not above. What happened? We've rolled over below the line. So while the daily might indicate that we want to be a buyer below the 50, the weekly is not lined up, and then the lower time frame hourly, which is most important, is not lined up. So there's nothing for us to do here. Overall, sideways, chop market, cash is king. I'm going to continue to focus intraday, even though I've been cold and all of my day trading accounts are in a current drawdown from the all-time highs. I'll see you guys next weekend.